Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of Realm News with yours truly, your host, the Dark Lord. The one who puts the real in Realm and expands your mind one block at a time. Today, I have another great episode for you all. I have a familiar guest on the show today who you have all come to know and love. I'm talking about MichealTBH. In fact, today, as we record, marks 1 year since Micheal made his debut appearance on Realm News. I asked him back onto the show specifically for the 1 year anniversary. Today, I will be asking him about the last update and all the drops that we have received since then in the course of the past year. Also, I am going to ask him his future predictions, get into his dual wielding campaign, and hear about Micheal's personal Minecraft goals. We have a full slate in today's episode, so whenever you are ready, let's start the show. I brought you onto the show today because it has been a year since our first discussion together. I'm elated to have you back on. I believe this is your fourth time here. In fact, this week, I listened to our first episode together and our last one we recorded together back in the beginning of November, and a lot has changed in the Minecraft universe since we last spoke. But I would like to do a complete recap of the year since you first appeared on Realm News, and then get into future predictions, and then more into your projects that you have going on. So, Micheal, how have you been, man?
I've been good. First of all, thanks for having me. It's kind of crazy that it's been a year. Like the game since that year has passed has changed dramatically. I'd say. In some cases better, in some cases worse. Um, but yeah, it's honestly been kind of mental. I think this year has been a very big year for Minecraft, and has kind of changed the direction in the game, which is something it's needed for a long time, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're a longtime player, Micheal. I can't quite
Yeah.
remember when you got started, but I think this past year was a big change, especially in the drop format system,
Mm.
which I want to
Yeah.
get into later. But this has
Oh yeah,
been
of
kind of a
course.
unique year, right?
Yeah, it's very. I mean, it has some good aspects, right? The direction I'm going in, but in some ways it's a bit unpredictable.
Hmm.
But Minecraft has needed this for years, like I say, because we've kind of been stuck in a little bit of a loop, and some will say it hasn't really been a good loop. Some will disagree. Um, So I'm kind of, it's very risky for Mojang to do this. So I'm kind of, I appreciate that, what they're doing.
And the loop that you're referring to, is it more of like a creativity loop, or like them just being
I mean,
stuck in that one drop every year or that update every year before
yeah,
the new
like
format?
it was the whole one update a year thing. I mean, it's very controversial, I think. Was it good for Minecraft or was it not? Um, I think it was, in my opinion. I mean, towards the end, it wasn't. You had like a massive fall off in quality, in my opinion. And unfortunately, I think some of that quality is spread into drops, and it's going to be a while for Mojang to shake it off. Um, but we'll see. I mean, we have no idea. Like we've got like two more drops after this one that we're going through right now, so we'll see. We have no idea.
Yeah, no, that is true. We do have 2 more drops. Yeah, I believe people are predicting June again. I know that last year, um, we got the tricky trials,
We
um,
did.
in on June 20th. So I think a lot of people are predicting this June we're going to get the summer drop, right?
Yeah.
And I'm excited for that. But while we are on subject of the drop format and the old way of them doing a an annual update
Mm.
instead, which was usually just a big one or in one lump. You were saying that some of the characteristics, maybe the bad ones, are being carried over into the smaller drops. Could you elaborate on that a little bit? I'm just curious what you mean by that.
So like um I'd say 1.19, 1.20, 1.21 had some good aspects to it, but they really lacked in quality and flushed out content. And a lot of those three updates, I think, had areas of the game that were kind of just hang out and left to dry. And there's like, well, you could have done more here, you
Hmm.
know, especially, I mean, I'd say especially 1.19, but at least they rectified, I
Was
think, 1.19.
was 1.19 Caves and Cliffs or
It was the wild update, so it was
oh,
mangroves and the deeper dark, stuff like that.
gotcha. Gotcha.
Um, but it was like I didn't like that update for a long time, and then they fixed it. I guess in the spring drop in Spring to Life, I think that's the name. I
Hmm.
refer to the drops as like summer, spring, and stuff like that, even with the names. Um, but like
Same.
it's just I don't know, like so in terms of like the quality and there's like well there could have been more stuff here. Um, the Pale Garden drop is a very bad, I was going to say drop, update, whatever. It
And
reminds
we'll
me a
get
lot
into
of
that a little bit
1.19.
further too. But
Yeah,
you consider that a bad drop or update?
I do. I do. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I do. I am curious to hear about that in more
Mm.
detail, a little bit further. But so, um, so you're not really enjoying these more spread out drops?
The content themselves is okay. I think they need to focus more on old issues with the game, rather than adding. I mean, the Happy Cast is great. Don't get me wrong. Like, let me just
Mhm.
preface and say it's one of the best features they've ever added. But I want to see changes to old systems so the game can move forward.
Yeah, that's something I've actually thought about before. I'm really curious about how the dynamics or how the team in Mojang functions or how it's divided. Because there's so much in Minecraft, so many items, functions, mechanics. Just the game is it's a
Mm.
massive, massive game. And
Yeah.
I've wondered, is there a separate team that goes through and I know that they have bugs that are reported to them and they go through and fix those, but is there a separate team that goes through and reviews all the old items that have been there for like 15 years or and tweak those to update them or do you know anything about that, Michael?
Um, so I believe there are separate teams. One of them is looking at old items and the textures of them. We've seen that
Mhm.
with the spawn eggs. Um,
Yeah.
obviously these aren't massive like change like how they like fundamentally work, but they're still like they're literally changing the aesthetic of the game. Um, but the more significant team is working on a bigger update, not a drop, but an update. They are different things. Um, I think. Um, So one of them is working on something, and I think that update hopefully is addressing an old system. If they come out and say here's like some new like dimension or something like that,
Mhm.
I would be so upset. Um,
Okay.
but as far as I know, there are separate teams that do stuff like, but we only see the drop team because that's the more communicative team, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like here's a drop, and then 2 seconds later, oh, here's another one. There's a constant flow of things, which you know, ask the right person, it could be good or bad. But
Okay. Well, let's get into that a little bit later. And I kind of want to, as I had planned here, I wanted to start off this show by asking you about your dual wielding campaign.
no.
Today marks day 437 of you making a post advocating for Mojang to add dual wielding to Minecraft. And
Yeah.
your very first appearance on the show, you were on day 73 of asking for dual wielding when we recorded, which I thought was
Uh,
awesome because that makes it today 364 days later. So,
yeah.
Please, Michael, I'm giving you the platform here. Tell me about your dual wielding campaign.
Okay, so at first it started as like a really like honestly a joke. Um, I wanted dual wielding in the game or like a proper off. When we talk about dual wielding, we talk about full offhand capability, meaning we hold more items in our left hand than we do right now. Because in Bedrock it's like 5 items, and four of them are useful. One of them is just performative, because a mob
Mhm,
holds it as well.
mhm.
Um, but so I was like, at the time it was like, okay, well, we haven't got hardcore mode, we haven't got spectator, we haven't got super flat, we haven't got dual wielding, so there's a long way to go. But let's just, let's see what people want, and maybe people will advocate for it as well. Um, and then 100 days passed, and it was like, oh, maybe this actually could be something that a lot of people want. Um, but for a long time, like I was doing this on Twitter, and I would like, refer to Mojang. Now, if you don't know, Mojang on Twitter is dead. Like they don't post on that handle.
Oh gosh,
Um,
I think I knew that, but
yeah.
they haven't,
So
have they?
no. So which I think is a mistake. But so a lot of people would come up to me and be like, "Well, why are you posting to an account that's not going to see you?" And I was like, "Well, it's more to like rile people up, right?
Yeah.
And to see what people want and if they want dual wielding. Now, as I've asked for dual wielding, Bedrock has progressed in a multitude of ways. Parity wise, we've had spectator hardcore mode. We're getting super flat as well.
Yeah.
Um, take all that away, and you ask yourself, what is the biggest issue parity wise with the game? A lot of people might say redstone. I'm going to come out and say they're never, ever putting redstone on parity, ever. Um, it would
That'd
be
be
a big
complicated.
mistake. Yeah, it would break Bedrock, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
so aside from that, combat is the biggest issue of the game. The game can't evolve without combat, and the offhand dual wielding leads into that. The dual wielding aspect is a massive part of combat.
Mhm.
They can't update it without it. As much as Mojang doesn't like the offhand, because they don't like dual wielding. They think it was a mistake, but they can't go back on it. Um,
Why?
yeah,
Why?
I don't,
Do you
I don't know. But they can't. They may. I'm worried they're going to like nerf it in some way. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I think they regret it. Um,
are they stubborn? Did they take a position and they just wanna stick with that, stand their ground, or what's your theory behind why they won't add dual wielding? Is it a technical reason?
um, so technically, if you asked me this question like what, even 6 months ago, I just said probably. But
Mm,
the technicality of it is no longer. I mean, it's still an issue, right? It's a massive thing, but it
mhm.
is not as big of an issue as it was. You can literally get your offhand to like in Bedrock to hold anything right now. The problem is it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
You can't do anything. Like you put like say if you had like some kind of way to put, and you can do this with commands. Put like wheat in your left hand. The
Mhm.
animals don't look at it. They don't.
Hmm.
They're not. There's nothing there. They're just seeing an entity. But the game just thinks it's just a regular item, like whatever. They don't see
Mhm.
it as like it has a purpose. And that's the issue they got to figure out is these items that need to have purposes, like the farm animal, like farm crops and stuff like that. They need that component to them, otherwise they can't function, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I think they're just terrified. I think
Just
they're
terrif
terrified.
would
Yeah.
now, do you think I could see it being easily. See, I'm not technically inclined at all, and I probably don't have the right to say this, but since I'm not a developer and don't work in that field, but I could see it being easy to potentially implement the dual wielding as like a in the game, but would it be hard for that to be carried out through all the devices that Minecraft is played on, such as touch screens? You know what I mean? And I know that we've had that discussion before where
Mm.
I think you mentioned actually the last time you were on the show that that they're making it so that people on mobile devices can customize their controls. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So that wouldn't be a problem, you don't think, the touchscreen devices with dual wielding?
No, it still is. Unfortunately, like the reality is, I don't like saying this, but it's the truth. The mobile devices hold back Bedrock astronomically,
Mhm.
and it also, by doing that, holds back Java. Um, Now, yet mobile has made some good like progress. They've got pick block now. They've had it for a little bit,
Mhm.
um, and that's just a simple like button on their screen. Um, but I think like if you have to, then don't give mobile the offhand.
So pretty much
It's
Pocket Edition would
yeah.
be a separate class.
I think it like it. I think it should be. I think as a whole, okay, the Pocket Edition game should be given to someone else because I think like the more advanced devices of Bedrock Edition are being heavily slated because of it. Um, and it's been the truth for a while, and it
Mhm.
sucks to say because like Pocket Edition was the foundation of Bedrock.
Yeah.
Um, but you can't get around the fact that there are issues, and Mojang know this because every
Mhm.
time there's a drop or update that comes out, they're like, "Look, guys, we're discontinuing devices," and it's not, "Oh, they're discontinuing the Xbox One or the PS4." It's mobile devices, you know.
I did, read that I believe Microsoft well, Mojang via Microsoft are going to be sunsetting a lot of devices here soon that aren't gonna be
Yeah,
compatible with the, Vibrant Visuals update.
yeah,
So, I mean, that could be a way just because as technology progresses, older technology gets faded out. That could potentially be a way, in my opinion, of Minecraft being able to add dual wielding, as you say, and kind of phase out, you
yeah.
know, perhaps maybe that's a possibility. But you have to understand, all of my Minecraft experience in the past 2.5 years has been on my tablet.
Yeah,
So I play strictly um off screen. I see what you mean though. I really do. I see that it is potentially holding back Bedrock because we don't have physical controls. That simple. We just don't have that. Maybe, the tablets, you can hook up keyboards to it. Maybe if you hooked
mm,
up a keyboard, it could function the same, dual wielding. I don't know. I'm sure there's a way to figure it out.
I think there is, and I think that they have to Mojang have to add offhand capability to Bedrock this year, otherwise the game's in trouble.
What kind of trouble do you mean? Do you mean by competing against other games, sandbox games that potentially
No,
have dual wielding?
so when I said the game is facing trouble, I mean the game will not evolve.
Mm,
Um, if you look at okay, so a big difference of the two versions right now are the bosses. On Bedrock, the Wither is insane. On
mhm,
Java, it's a bit of a pushover, but on Bedrock, it is a whole other boss. Um, let's say you add the Bedrock Wither now to Java. It's easier on Java still
okay.
because the offhand does so much that it'll balance it out. We don't have the offhand on Bedrock, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, so the Bedrock Wither screws us over. Now on Java, they can find ways to kill it easier with the offhand. With us, we just have to. I mean, I kill my withers by trapping them in Bedrock and they suffocate to death.
Nice.
It's just not worth the actual fight because the damage they do is insane, and like you'll die, you will, unless you've got like 5,000 totems, which I do,
What
but like. It's
You
just
heard that,
crazy.
listeners, from Micheal. Trap it in bedrock and suffocate it to
Yeah.
death.
No, yeah, genuinely. You have to trap it in bedrock. Otherwise, the fire itself is two different fires.
I love
Um,
that.
and trapping in bedrock, you have to do it carefully, but it will spawn in it and it will slowly, it can't escape it. Unless you hit
Wow.
it out of it, it will fly out of it and then you're in trouble. But if you just leave it, it will just die very
That sounds
slowly,
difficult.
but it will die. I mean, if you know what you're doing, the bedrock worlds have certain coordinates in the world. There are certain like bedrock formations at the very bottom of the world that if you
Hmm.
position the bedrock river in such a way, it will, when it like spawns in the world, it like, like basically it does that whole animation stuff like that. It does that
Yeah.
in bedrock and it
Okay.
explodes and it's just like stuck. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, Java, like, so that's the thing. The bosses are completely different. And if you add both, if you put both bosses on parity, they're still going to be different because of the offhand and the combat system.
Hmm.
They're still going to be easier on Java. Um,
So
and I
they
just
need
think,
they need to
yeah,
update the bosses.
I think so. Yeah.
Mm.
And then that leads to the whole philosophy of people want a third boss, right? Well, they're not going to have a
Yeah.
third boss until the two bosses are aligned to each other on both versions. Um, and what does a third boss usually allude to? Dimension. Okay, they're not going to add a dimension um, because of the end, mostly,
Hmm.
right now. But again, it all feeds back to combat and things like that. It's just, and then
So.
you have the whole issue as well with servers as well. And this doesn't even
Mhm.
affect Bedrock; it affects Java. Um, People still do not play past 1.8 to this day. People still have not played, even with the like polar bears or magma blocks or the earliest features pre 1.9.
Mhm.
Um, and why? Because Bedrock has an outdated combat system that we've had forever. Um, Now, is that gonna, if they update combat on Java, does that instantly mean that Hypixel and all the other servers are going to move? No, it doesn't guarantee that everyone is going to play 1. Let's say 22 right now.
Mhm.
But a lot of them will, because a lot of them don't like 1.9. I do. I love 1.9, but I haven't played it, so I can't give a constructive like feedback on 1.9 because look, all I've ever known is 1.8. Like,
Yeah.
so we have 1.9 elements, um, very few, like the most prominent one being shields, but even they're broken. So,
Yeah, I
you know,
know. They kind of are because I was just talking about this with my brother, what, 3 days ago. I was helping him build an extension to his underwater city. And so I
mm,
was defending him from the drowned as he built his thing. And I hate the drowned, as we've talked about before. And
yeah,
the shield's completely useless underwater. It's and that we were talking and giving a lot of flack about combat because it's completely useless underwater. I hate it. Like
yeah,
it's and it gets boring. That's simple.
yeah. I
I
mean,
there's no
the
complexity to it.
the thing is with the shield is it's completely useless underwater, but it's completely busted um, on the surface
Yeah,
because
what you should be able to hold it up while you're walking.
yeah, it's just I don't know. I think they need to like readjust. I don't know how you do it, but shields need a complete rework and balancing because they are unbalanced as well.
Hmm.
Um, but like with certain mobs, I've noticed with the shield, it's very delayed. Like you'll see a skeleton, it'll shoot you. You put up the shield, but it still
Hmm.
shoots you for some
Yeah.
reason. Like it still does damage to you, even though albeit at the very last second you put your shield up. So maybe the
Yeah.
game's a bit confused. But still, that last second, it's still hit no matter what, it's still hitting you, unless you move out of the way or something. But assuming you've got a shield and you're holding it down, you're not moving, you're stationary, right? So
Hmm.
and it still hits you. And again, it does the same thing with like other mobs as well, like melee mobs, which can be damaging as well. Um, I don't know, like yeah, it took a lot for them to add skills to Bedrock. It was a massive. I remember the time it was massive when they added skills. Because you're like, surely this will mean we get new combat, right? This was
Yeah.
years ago, and we're still at 1.8. So
So, when do you see, or I guess predict? Well, prediction is probably too loose of a word, but when do you see Mojang getting around to, if they ever do, implement dual wielding? Do you think they
I'd
will?
like, I'd like to think it's this year.
Really?
Um, yeah, I would. And if we look at the version of numbers, um, 1.22, I think I'm like
Are we almost
60-40.
there?
Yeah, like the next update should be 1.22.
I'd hope.
Um, the issue with this is it's if that's true, it lines up with full, and it goes against, as I understand it, this hasn't changed, but maybe it has. The summer and the winter are the prominent seasons for Mojang
Hmm.
to release new content. The fall is probably the worst because you've got a bunch of people going back to school, back to,
Hmm.
whatever. Um, Releasing 1.22, I don't know if that'd be wise. But then again, it is the literal, unless they change version numbers at the very last second, it is the
Hmm.
next update. 1.22 is the next update.
Yeah, because where are
Um,
we at right now? I can't remember off the top of my head. Like point nine
Bedrock,
zero.
Bedrock is 1.21.90.
Okay, nine
Um,
two.
90,
90. Okay.
which is very rare. It's normally 1.80 and then they'll skip, I believe this is the case. So like the next version number.
Yeah, they're
Java
really
is
slicing and dicing.
yeah,
It's like,
they're really cutting it. And then Java is like 1.21.5, I think. Um, so
yeah,
either
I don't know.
they redo the system entirely, or they have to buy the bullet and be like, okay, the next update is the next piece of content, I should say, is an update, but it's in full. But then again, the drop system is made so it's like big updates could drop all the time. It's not aligned to seasons. We've seen that
Yeah.
with the summer drop. There is no 1.22 in the summer drop. There's no like massive. This drop is one feature. It is.
So so do you also still stick with, because I have to say, I listened to our first episode and you were thinking 1.22 was also going, we were going to get the end update. So
Yeah.
do you think we'll get both a combat dual wielding and end update and all of your wishes will be fulfilled?
I hope not.
You
I
what?
I I hope not.
No? That'd be a
No.
little much.
Um, the issue with 1.9, the under something I don't see people talk about is it was two updates in one, and the combat aspect of it was okay, right?
Hmm.
Like it was done, and what I mean by that is it was looked into a lot. It was fully fledged and stuff like that. The end update wasn't an end update. I'm sorry, it wasn't. You had one structure, elytra wings. Okay, sure. If they'd done
Yeah.
that now, where they done 1.9 part two, one of the systems, combat or the end, suffers regardless. One of them does. Because
Hmm.
the fact of the matter is, combat and the end are the two most underdeveloped aspects of the game right now. So updating both at the same time, you're going to put one of them is going to get more attention than the other.
Yeah.
And I think this time around, it's going to be the end. If they did this hypothetical situation, the end would get more attention just because of how like not developed it is.
Yeah.
Um, Combat, if they'd done this, all they'd do is put combat on par with Java. So it'd be parity. It wouldn't be an update, it'd be parity. They wouldn't, I don't think, change the way 1.9 works, in my
But as
opinion.
we but as we just kind of outlined, there's a lot of hurdles they have to jump over before dual wielding would be even possible, right? Because they would have to, as you said, unfortunately, pretty much just separate Pocket Edition away from it. I mean,
That's what I think. I don't think they're not going to do that. They would never do that.
yeah, I
Let me
don't
just
think so
clarify.
either.
They're never, if anyone thinks this, they're never going to discontinue Java. They're never going to discontinue the consoles. Are they going to
No.
discontinue the versions of consoles? Sure, but they're not going to continue the aspects of consoles.
Hmm.
They're not going to discontinue Pocket Edition. Sure, they'll continue like mobile devices, but the Pocket aspect, the mobile aspect,
The
is not
touch
going away.
screen.
Yeah, it's just not going away.
No, but
Um,
do you think they'll be able to invent some way to make it all compatible so that way dual wielding can be like integrate? Because I think Minecraft has a vision of where they want players with all sorts of devices to be able to connect together, right? And so I don't see them breaking away from that. Do you think they'll be able to invent a way where people with touchscreen will be able to play with dual wielding the same as somebody in Java and in Bedrock?
yes, I do. I think that's what they're working on right now. I think um, the other versions of Bedrock are pretty much there, but it's
Mhm.
just mobile, and they're just trying to figure it out. And then they can be like,
Gotcha.
okay, I think I think the way they'll do it is here it is. Here's combat parity. That's what I hope. I hope they don't tease it and be like, oh look, I've got a standard block
Yeah.
in my left hand. Um, but like I hope that they're just like, here it is.
Yeah, I hope
Um,
so too. Honestly, I think it would be so much more fun.
yeah. Um, but that like the dual wielding aspect is only one, albeit major aspect of the whole combat update. They need to do
Mhm.
so much of that. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of little things, and that's why I asked you if you knew if they had like a team that came behind and is reviewing old stuff
I
and
think there
updating
is.
it. But to me, I haven't really seen that. It just feels like
No,
they
they're never
just
gonna.
pick randomly things to update. Is
Yeah,
there a method to their madness?
I like. I think they do work on things, but the way they do it is Mojang will just be like, here it is. Here's like a new end update. They're never gonna be like, hey guys, we're working on an end update right now. Um,
Yeah.
stay tuned. I mean, okay, you could say, well, isn't that what Minecraft Live is?
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
Um, you could argue, but at that point in the update's trajectory, the update is so far ahead where it doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
Rather than them being like, "Hey guys, well, we've now just started work on the fish update. We're going to add 2,000 more tropical fish." Um, they're more inclined, like with the bigger stuff, they're more inclined to be like, "Here it is," like especially with Minecraft Live, and that's the thing as well. When is the next one in fall? So in my opinion, they've got no time, as far as I know. They may have what's it called, Dungeons 2, but the code name for it,
Oh,
um,
yeah. What is that?
I
I
can't.
forget
Or
there's
they're
a
going to.
Dungeons too.
Okay, so it's just like a side thing. Apparently, they're going to announce it next month in like the Xbox showcase, game showcase.
Was that a leak?
Um, I think it was, yeah.
Okay.
But obviously, if they do this, they're going to talk about it at Minecraft Live. But other than that, as it stands right now, they've got nothing else to talk about apart from Dungeons 2 and the next Minecraft update. They don't have a movie unless they
Uh,
do the sequel announcement.
maybe. It only
Um,
took them 4 months to film the first one.
yeah, but I mean, even if they do, it's not going to be like a massive thing like it was for the last Minecraft Live, when a big portion of it was talking about the movie. This will just be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, we're working on it anyway.
Yeah, no.
Um, so it just makes sense for them to do something this fall because again, the game has to move on. We've been stuck in 1.21 for so long.
It's
It's been so long.
been since Tricky Trials, hasn't it? A year
Yeah,
almost.
it has been a year. It has been a year now. Yeah.
Is that
Uh,
typical to be in one version for a whole year?
by now, we'd be looking at 1.22 is the next update. But right now, we're looking at it as the Happycast thing is the next drop.
Yes.
Drop, not update. Um, Now, what this does, if they move on to 1.22 now, they are going to extend the lifespan of 1.22. It will be longer than 1.21, in my
Oh
opinion,
my.
um, because the whole drop system kind of came during 1.21. It wasn't like, I mean, okay, Bats and Pots, I believe, was early 1.21, but they never came out and said, they never announced the drop system at the beginning of 1.21. It was
No,
with
that was
on the
September
pause.
28th on the
Yeah,
live event. It was the first time they announced that they were ending the updates.
yeah. So this is you say September. Like 1.21 has already been out for like a few months, so they're already on a strict like countdown
Hmm.
now. They've only got 3 months to work with.
Hmm.
Um, so now I think updating it to 1.22, the gap between 1.22 and 1.23 is going to be bigger. Is that to say there's going to be like less significant stuff? No, but I think let's say 1.22 is the end update, which it isn't. I'm really confident in saying it isn't. And
Yeah.
then 1.23 is the combat update. There's going to be a massive gap in between them.
But you
But
think, do you think do you think 1.2, sorry, 1.22 will be dual wielding or
I
combat?
think it's, I think it's, no, I don't have, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of pessimistic. I have no faith. I have no faith whatsoever. It's going to be either of the standalone issues of the game being the
Gotcha.
dimensions or the combat. It's going to be something new, like a
So,
new biome or something. It's just, no.
so you, so you don't really know when we'll get dual wielding, if ever.
No, I don't. I hope it's this year. It has to be, in my opinion, it has to be this year. And they've got two
Yeah.
chances left because it's not
Well,
coming in the summertime.
yeah, we're already halfway through the year almost.
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy? I
it is.
personally don't see it happening this year, Michael. I'm going to be the pessimist on this one. Don't give up your campaign, though. I'm just saying, I don't, I feel like I don't know which direction they're going. And I tried looking up information about dual wielding last night just to have more knowledge on it for today's show and just to see why. Like, why can't
Yeah,
they do this? And honestly, it's pretty much a blank slate, even online. Like,
yeah,
there's nothing official really to go off of. There's just speculation and not even really good speculation. It's all in Reddit or Quora or, those type of opinion, um, those opinion type post-it type places. And I was just like, man, I don't, this isn't really verifiable material. So it's really weird that there's nothing really much talked about online about this.
no. I
It's
mean,
really weird.
the, the facts are it is complicated to add, regardless. Some people will dispute this, but it is factually
Hmm.
complicated to add dual wielding to Bedrock. It is straight up. Um, that's part one of it. Part two is a combat system that comes with dual wielding. Are you going to add 1.9 to it and call it a day, or are you bringing in the combat test snapshots as well? Because they were
Hmm.
huge.
I need to
Um,
look into those.
they were like really big. They kind of, I think, again, I've not played 1.9 or the test snapshots. I can't. I physically cannot play them. Um,
Hmm.
but they rectified, in my opinion, a lot of the issues that 1.9 has, but they're just not talked about. They've been left in the dust. And you can blame the time that it was done, with it being 2020. Wasn't great timing. But what do they do? Do they add? Because that's the thing. You can't just add. You can't. Mojang, in my opinion, I mean, they can if they want to.
Hmm.
But in my opinion, they can't just be like, here's your wording.
Yeah.
Because then 1.8 is completely unbalanced with dual wielding. You need that. Um, you need that, in my opinion, weapon diversity. So like, or strengths. For
Mm-hmm.
example, the axe is stronger in 1.9. 1.8, the sword is still the best weapon. Um,
Okay.
the attack cooldowns, albeit they were changed in the test snapshots, but 1.9 they added them, right? Um, then there's the issue of sweeping edge and being able to dual wield with that. Um, and then like bringing the test snapshots, the bow. If you're dual wielding with the bow got nerfed in 1.9 test snapshots, or sorry, just combat test snapshots in general. And
Hmm.
you're actually seeing right now, Mojang added a change to Java with the bows. Now they're not the same as the test snapshots, as I understand it, but the initial points of the change is the exact same for the test snapshots. So
Interesting. No, that's a long time ago, those versions.
yeah, I mean 1.9 what 2016. Um,
I'm trying to think. Gosh.
Test
'Cause I just did
snapshots were
research
done.
over the very, very beginning of Minecraft, and
Yeah,
so I'm like, my timeline in my head's all messed up.
yeah, and the test snapshots were done in I think in 2020, and again we had the whole um, little cough situation going on right then. So they were kind of, I guess, they were more poised. Mojang, I'm talking about, were more poised to be like, okay, we need to do caves and cliffs, or like a cave
Interesting.
update first. Put combat on the back burner. It can wait. Spoiler alert: it can't. Um, it can't wait. Then being like, surely it can wait, and then we'll just add a new swamp in the next update, and they'll ignore. No, no one's forgotten. Um, Now there are signs in both versions that something is going on with combat. Um, Mojang have done this since the beginning of the time, where they will allude to an update before the update comes out or is announced.
Hmm.
They'll be like, they'll plant. The best example of the best way to describe this is they'll plant the seeds of an update in the update beforehand. Um,
Okay.
so like they'll be like, oh, here's some, I don't know, here's like we've changed the way, I don't know. I'll give you an example. 1.19
Hmm.
or what was it, 1.20? Cherry grove trees
Oh yeah.
had its fallen leaves.
1.20.
Yeah, had its fallen leaves. Um, and it was like, oh, okay, this is cool. But at that moment, then we were like, they're adding that. They have to add that to all the. This makes sense.
Yes,
Why
I know
why
what you
not add it
mean.
to the trees? Like why not add it? And then eventually, albeit updates came and went, but
Hmm.
eventually, what happened to the Spring to Life drop? Fallen leaves for every single
Leaves,
tree site.
and I love
Like,
it. And hey, another example, wolf variants,
yeah, exactly.
and look
Um,
what we got.
yeah. Uh, like there's so many examples of them planting the seeds, like indirectly and behind the scenes. Like it will take someone to go behind the scenes and look into it, but other times they'll just look straight up. Be like, done this in the changelog, and you'll be like, oh, that is straight up alluding to X, Y, Z.
Hmm.
Um,
I love
but
that they do that though. It's almost like they like to play games with us.
yeah, sometimes it can be good. But if the next update isn't combat, then it'll be like, what the hell are these changes? Like, what are they? What was this for then? Was it just for the sake of changing it, just for the
Yeah.
sake of it?
I
Um,
noticed yesterday when I logged into my Realms account on Bedrock, just a little thing, but I hadn't noticed it until then that when I got my minecart that they changed the little get out option. It's now like a little minecart and you just hit it to jump out.
really?
Yeah, I was like, when did this? I don't remember reading about this in any Minecraft.net article, or this maybe it was something like really subtle that I missed in their snapshots.
Hmm.
Have you noticed that? Because before it was just an up and down arrow. Same with a horse. on my touchscreen at least for 2 years now, and they even changed how you dismount your horse. It's kind of the same as I think it's just a horse. You just hit it and you just jump off. It's not a down arrow anymore, which is interesting to me.
This sounds like to me they've done it solely on mobile, on not mobile, but like that touchscreen era of
It, okay, it must be just a
Bedrock.
pocket, or because I think mine's not pocket edition technically, but yeah, it must just be for touchscreen. I thought it
Yeah,
was interesting.
touchscreen's in a really weird like gray area of where do you define it in like the scope of Bedrock? Is it? It's not a console. I
Hmm.
guess it's not really mobile either. Like, what do you? Or is it? Because the essence of mobile is you can take it and play it
Yeah,
anywhere, right?
yeah,
And mobile
exactly.
with it. I can't unfortunately bring my console, play it with me on a walk. Um, but it sounds like to me that it's kind of just they're doing stuff to the mobile edition, or not, but you know what I mean.
I
That
almost took a
aspect of
picture of it and posted it, but I was like, this maybe it's not that important. But again, I was like, it's
mm.
kind of interesting.
And I mean they have the most changes they've done have been to that aspect of Bedrock. The mobile aspect of Bedrock has had the most
Hmm.
changes because it has to, right?
True.
Um,
Yeah, they're very interconnected, aren't they? Because
yeah,
I was just reading, I think, about beetroots. Like when I was doing research over beetroots, I don't know why, but they were first on Pocket Edition, and they were there for like what 4 years before they were moved over into Bedrock. I was like, wow,
yeah.
that's insane that it took that long. That they
It's
just
it's
left it on mobile devices.
it's funny you mentioned Beetroot in the topic as well because they were added in 1.9.
Oh, were they? Okay, that's
Yeah.
maybe that's why
Um,
it popped in my head.
I believe the seeds, not the actual like beetroot themselves, but the seeds I think are still in end cities to this day for some reason. Don't ask me
Oh,
why.
weird.
Um, but like I think it was more the thing where it was like, well, we don't know what to do with them. At the time, they weren't in the villager farms, so like we need to put them somewhere so people can access them. No wandering trader either. So I was like, okay, uh, end cities. Doesn't make any sense now, but I mean they've done this before. They've added a feature in some nonsensical area of the game first,
That's
and then
hilarious. That's
but yeah, they were
hilarious.
added in 1.9 in the combat update.
Okay, I
It's
didn't know
funny.
that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed, Michael, that that they'll get around to it. I'm glad to. So you do think maybe the end this year, or what do you think?
Nope, I don't think it's the end either.
Okay.
I think the end has even less of a chance. But if you say something like that with Minecraft, it's like it's more likely. It's just
Yeah, I
how it is.
don't. I think that probably has less of a chance too, just because I think they are. I don't know. I feel like they just focus on where they get the most return on their investment, which seems to be the overworld. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
but there's only one more aspect of your overworld that needs to be updated, and then the overworld is done. But there's only one more,
The
and they removed it.
underwater, I think the ocean needs to be updated.
Really, I would have said the biomes, the biome vote losers.
Really? I think there needs to be more in the oceans or something, or
I do too.
maybe
I don't. I do too. I we talk about drowned and stuff like that.
yeah.
The drowned being the apex predator of the ocean is
We did
silly.
talk about that last year.
Yeah, it's silly, right? So there needs to be a bigger threat, I think, in the ocean. Um,
Well, yeah,
but
I think so.
I have so many ideas for an update Aquatic too. But
Well, we'll get hired
I
on the
think,
Mojang,
yeah,
please, and that way I could have an inside man
yeah.
into Mojang.
But
And
there's just like I think the ocean is not great, but it's okay.
yeah,
Um,
it's okay.
Other aspects of the game, the Nether is great. I think the Nether has like 5 more years until people are like, well, maybe we should update it.
I mean,
Um,
I think they should kind of be updating a little bit of every dimension together. honestly, just to keep a little bit of unity going. I mean, why just focus on one dimension? Why not have,
Could
I don't
you,
know, at least include a new item or a block to the other
yeah,
two
that's the thing.
dimensions?
Could you argue that they've done that in the summer drop with the happy cast and the dried cast? I mean,
That's
and the
true. I
heart.
didn't think about that till you just mentioned that. I guess they did kind of combine.
Granted, like you could craft it, but at the same time, bartering and it being near fossils, it's not near fossils in the open. Um, you have to go to the Nether specifically,
Are
and
they
then
still near fossils?
yeah,
Okay.
there's still there are now three ways to get the dried ghast. It's by crafting, but they changed the recipe to a bone block to a soul sand. I think I don't
Hmm.
know if soul soil can be used as well, but um,
Yeah.
bartering. I think bartering's pretty. I think it's common. It's not as rare as like ender pearls,
Okay.
so which is silly. But you can now trade for dead babies in Minecraft. Great.
Yeah, little dried up babies.
Yeah.
Very cute. Um, le- um, yeah, let's, I have some questions here. I kind of want to start. I know, I guess we kind of been jumping around a little bit. So, how should I do this? Let's just go ahead and start from a brief overview of last year and what was going on there. And then we'll work our way um, kind of into the Pale Garden. We're just going to go through the timeline here. And I kind of just want to get your feedback on this. We don't have to go into it too deep since this is like a year ago,
Yeah.
but I just want to ask you a few questions and see what you think of like some of these old blocks now and stuff that we're all hyped about back in the day. So, um, let me see here. Last year we were talking about trial chambers, the breeze mace crafter block, which I haven't tried yet. The bogged and a few other new features such as copper and tough variants that were brought to
Mhm.
Minecraft. I wonder, what are your thoughts on all that year? And do you still find enjoyment from those features that were introduced to us, such as the bog, copper, tough variants, etc.?
There's only one aspect now that
Hmm.
I genuinely interact with. I mean, I do go to Star Chambers sometimes, but the
Yeah.
only thing I appreciate really is the new copper blocks
Okay.
or just copper in general. I feel like copper is is now widely accessible because of trial chambers. It's literally made of copper. I mean, half of it is. Um, and yes, you could argue copper is easy to get regardless because of the where it is in caves. But like
Hmm.
this is already smelted, waxed as well. They're not like unwaxed copper blocks; they're literally waxed,
Oh, wow.
which is good. I mean, sometimes some people may disagree that that's good, but I think it is. Um, the new mobs, I mean, the bug is just a green skeleton. I mean, it's okay, it's slower, so it's easier to navigate through. It's not spamming you with arrows like it does on
Mhm.
Bedrock, like regular skeletons do. That'd be hell on earth. Um, Bog is okay. I guess it's kind of annoying, but it's supposed to be annoying, so
Mhm.
cool. Um, the mace broken. It's still not the same in both versions because of again, offhand, it affects the mace a lot. So until offhand gets added, the mace is terrible.
Mhm.
Bedrock at least. So I've got the mace. It's nice. The thing about it on Bedrock is it's a nice collectible. Does that make sense? So you're not really, I mean, unless you're a madman, using it,
Yeah,
like
it looks like
PvP
a fun
wise.
collectible.
Yeah. So it's just not like because heavy cores are quite rare, right? So it's nice to be like, I have this. Um, the tough blocks, like for me, like I saw the tough blocks and was like, great. What's the next thing? Calcite. And then updates came and went. It's like calcite, and they're like, best thing I can do is add white wood. No, I
Yeah.
want calcite. Give me calcite, and it's still waiting. But yeah,
Now, knowing that Trial Chambers was the last official quote unquote update in that old system that we discussed about or just talked about, would knowing that now, would you have wanted that to be the last official update?
Nope,
Nope.
absolutely not. Because I think 1.21 is unfinished, in my opinion.
Why?
It is um this update we're going to focus on combat adventures, even though both systems of combat and both versions are completely unbalanced. We're not going to
Mhm,
address them whatsoever. They're going to remain unchanged. In fact, we're going to throw in a new item, a new weapon that
mhm,
doesn't work the same on both versions. Very close, but it doesn't work the same. Um, and it all has to do. Like I say, the mace. It's kind of more to do with the wind charges, I
mhm,
guess. But again, as well as the mace, because the attack cooldown on Bedrock, I can just spam it. Put sharpness 5 or smile in it. It's like a sword, but even
mhm,
without using it for like high damage or something, it's like a sword.
mhm.
Spam it, run through the child as like a enclosed area, they all die. On Java, it's like swing, five
Oh
seconds
wow.
pass, swing, 5 seconds pass, swing. It's just like so that's one like adding an update that was focused on combat adventures, but not
Mhm.
changing or addressing the combat system. You don't need to even update the combat. Put them on parity and be like, we'll update combat at a later date. Just wait. Just even do that. Like
I
and then
agree.
if they done that, 1.21 is a solid update, but they didn't. So it suffered naturally.
From talking, no, it's interesting to get your take on that because from hearing opinions from other people online, no one uses the trial chambers anymore. That's what I've heard. It's just they were a thing, and then now they're forgotten pretty much.
Yeah, I think, and a
That's what
big
I've
part of
heard.
that, a big part of that is the loot from it. Like, what?
Was the loot not good?
I
I have
still don't
still
think it's
not found one.
really.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've used chunk base one time, and that was to find
yeah,
the or the Pell Garden for that drop because I really wanted to check that out. And I've still not used chunk base to locate a trial chamber because I want to find one naturally, and it's starting to anger me because I have dug kilometers underground and I haven't hit one, and I don't get it. So
have you
it,
tried we've got villager maps now that point you towards them?
yeah, people keep saying that. I need to do that. I honestly need
Yeah.
to do that. I'll try to get around to that, but just because I need to experience it still, and I do love copper. I build a lot with it, but from what I've
Mm.
heard, it's just been like even the ominous bottle trials, or what was that called? The ominous bottles.
Yeah, these like ominous events.
Yeah, the
Um,
bad omen, right?
yeah,
That
the bad omen. Yeah,
that was talked about being revolutionary at the time, and I
yeah.
haven't heard anything about it since.
Nope. Um, it has so much like the bad omen aspect of it was so, as you say, revolutionary, and it has so much potential, and it's just nothing.
I
Radio
haven't
silent.
used it. I haven't used it.
It's like I don't the way. Okay, so like the ominous trial events are much better, obviously, than regular trials.
Mhm.
In terms of raids, I have like a raid farm, so I don't do raids like naturally, where you would like
Okay.
on the subject. The pillager patrols are broken on Bedrock. Like, when was the last time you genuinely saw pillagers out in the wild?
I
I've not
j
seen them like
I
in 6 months.
actually, Michael, now that you've just mentioned that, I was thinking about this yesterday. Literally at my other job, I was standing there and I was like, "I haven't seen an Illager patrol for" I felt like a year since that
Yeah,
trial chamber update or since Omnis Trials.
yeah, they're gone. It's like they're extinct, and then there's only two places you can find them, and even then, in one of the places, the captain isn't there. With the mansions, the captain doesn't spawn there, so you can't. So there's literally one place in the entire world the outpost. Um,
Hmm.
so like the only way to really do raids is to go into the trial chambers, get the ominous bottle, and for some reason not use the ominous bottle there and then for the ominous event. Like
Hmm.
if your first experience is like, or not even that, you're not even first like new world, you enter a trial chamber, you're not really going to use the ominous bottle
No,
for a raid. You're going to be like,
no.
oh my, like if you know it, if you know at least to use it in the trial chamber, you're going to be like, oh my god, I can maybe get a mace here. I can maybe get
Hmm.
like the what is it, flow armor trim and stuff like that. I can get that now, or I can get emeralds.
Yeah, no, I agree, and
Like
I'm a person or an advocate, I should say, for expanding the illagers. I want to see
100%,
like villages or towns of them, not just an outpost. I want to see more of them. And heck, I'm a
100%.
guy that even likes creeper attacks. So I like those encounters. And I think there's a lot they could do with pillagers. And it just, yeah, that's a little bit just dismaying to see that they
I
have.
mean,
Yeah,
like
I haven't came across any of them out in the wild. So that's really dismaying to me that they're just been taken out of the game pretty much.
yeah, and they're supposed to be. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's different in like the spin-off games, but I'm pretty sure in the base game, the pillagers are the enemy. I think I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Um, but like I view them as the enemy because like piglins are like with piglins, you're literally invading their home. Like you're literally
Yeah.
invading their home and taking their resources. Pillagers just don't like you.
Yeah.
Um, so like I
Well, here's the
I don't
thing.
know.
This is what's confusing. And you and I kind of briefly talked about this. I think we recorded back in October last year, our last
Hmm.
conversation. And we were kind of talking about illagers because Mojang, I believe, or maybe it was shortly after that, our talk, but Mojang like had a video or maybe it was animation that produced it, but wasn't it felt like they were going to do something with illagers, like they were going to expand on them. There was a
Yes,
weird they did some
yes.
weird teaser. It did
They've they,
nothing.
they've also said they want to do more of pillagers. Well, then do
Ex-
something.
exactly. I didn't understand what was the point of doing all that
I
promotional and then just
I
radio
really don't
silence.
like I really don't like when Mojang will say this aspect of the game we're going to do more of it, and the year passes and there's nothing in the game. There's no communication. There's no hints in the code of like previews and snapshots. There's
Yeah.
zilch, and it's like what? And then like you look at the updates, like, okay, maybe I missed something, and it's like no, here's a pale dark forest, and it's like what? And even then, with the pale garden biome, you have wooden mansions in there, and it's not
Yeah.
they're not pale oak, they're dark oak for some reason,
Which
and it's
makes no
just
sense.
it doesn't,
And all the
and then
villagers are scared of the creaking, so why would they even build a woodland mansion near there?
I don't know, I don't know.
I
Like
mean,
you can,
those are just questions I think because I know that they don't Mojang. There's not supposed to be like canon
like
in this world, but at the
no, but
same time, there is. I mean,
like like what easily explain this. But, like okay, there's wooden mansions in the Pale Garden, make them pale, and be like, okay, well, why are they in the first place? The trees in the wooden mansions, because there are trees sometimes, not all the time.
mhm,
Um, in this instance, there are trees all the time now in wooden mansions in Pale Gardens.
okay,
The trees in them, right? Let's say that there are now always going to be trees. They're not dark oak, or I think they're dark oak in regular mansions. They're now always Pale Garden, and always, no matter what, there's a creaking heart in there. And it's to signify that there was a creaking in the Wooden Mansion, and it just took it over completely, and then like
interesting.
invaded it. That's
I
all
didn't
you
know
got to
that.
do. Well, that's what I think you should do. Obviously, now it's just here's a dark oak. It's just so out of place. Imagine, right? You're
Yeah,
flying or like you're running into a pale garden, and it's just dead. Right? It's just, there's nothing there. okay, I think there's animals. I don't know if there are animals in Pearl Gardens,
I
but there's
think
trees. I don't know. Are there? I don't think they
I
can spawn
don't
it.
know. Now that I think about, maybe
Um,
there isn't anything in there.
but the only life is either undead mobs, funny enough, or falling leaves. And then
Yeah,
you like climb over a mountain, and there's a big, dark structure that's just it takes away from the whole experience.
that's
And then
interesting.
and then like this whole aspect of it is dead, it's quiet. Okay, well now you've got like crossbows being like prepared, you've got pillagers making noises, and it's like what happened to silence and stuff like that? Like what happened to stealth and like the unease of going
Is
around
that
corners?
Michael? Is that quite common to like to find the woodland mansion in the Pill Garden?
Yes, because it's the exact same structure, it's the exact same biome, right?
That's
Not
interesting.
some, a lot of the time you'll find pale gardens next to dark oaks, right? Because again, it's the exact same thing. This isn't me slating Mojang. It's fact. It's the exact same thing with the saturation turned down, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and because of that, the Wooden Mansion is going to bleed over to the Pale Garden biome. So yeah, like
Fascinating.
I found this for you.
I
Um,
haven't.
it's
I
bizarre.
think I
It
have
is really
three Pill
bizarre,
Gardens. I haven't encountered that yet.
and that's the thing, right? A part of the reason why you haven't is because for some reason the beginning of the Pale Garden implementation was that it was small biomes. Why?
Yeah, that's true.
Why? So like you had half of the update cycle or the enjoyment of the update, people couldn't find anything.
Yeah, I had to
Never
use
mind.
chunk base.
Yeah. Never like and even then, if you went on chunk base or like some third party thing, it would point you to a pale garden, sure. But it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
tell you, oh yeah, this is a small biome or not. You could travel thousands of blocks if you're in an old world, in some cases
Mm-hmm.
10,000.
Yeah,
Find one and it's a small like few trees. Not even an eye blossom
that's
or
what
a
really upset me, man.
yeah,
I had to travel further than I ever had to travel before in my world, that my 2-year world. And when I came to my first pill garden, it was so small and it didn't even have a creaking. It
no,
made me upset, and then I had to get back on chunk base, and I had to travel 3,000 more blocks to the next one, and it did have a creaking. So it was upsetting, and I remember talking about that with my brother as well, and I was complaining like, "Why would they design this to be because that is so, what's the word I'm looking for? Disappointing to go
yeah,
that far and to just see, like, a handful of trees. It wasn't as bad as Toy Cat on Twitter. He posted a picture of the smallest Pell garden of and it was consisting of 1 tree.
yeah. That's awful. And you know the worst part of it? That initial travel you did to the first Pearl Garden where it had like no creaking heart,
Yeah,
you didn't even need to go there because the Wandering Trader sells I'm not kidding, every single item in the Pearl Garden.
I forgot. Yep, and
I
if I
don't
was
know if it
smart
does. I don't know if it does now because they've made changes in Spring to Life where it sells more stuff and you sell it stuff as well. But
true.
beforehand, the entire update was in the hands of some thing you had no control over.
I
Then
never
what's the
thought
point?
about that way till now.
It was so
That's
silly. And that was a big concern with the Spring to Life drop was are they going to do the same thing? Or you can have like wildflowers or um what
Firefly
else was there?
bush.
Firefly bushes and stuff like that. Now, granted, they are sold by Wandering Traders, but
Mhm.
because they made the changes to them, where like you can give them milk or water or like hay bales and stuff like that, it's not all.
Mhm.
You're not going to find it'll be very rare. Maybe you can, but you're probably not going to find the entire Spring to Life drop in the Wandering Traders trading list. You might, but you're
That's
very unlucky to
interesting.
do so.
I never thought about that, them carrying around the entire update.
Oh, it was awful. So bad.
No, that's really interesting. Well, shifting gears a little bit, still same update, but I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the bundles?
Still revolutionary
I love them.
in every aspect. Yeah,
I use them all the time, and so I imagine since you just said the revolutionary, you still use them?
yeah, they were a big part of my Springs to Life exploration. Because in my world, I didn't have shulker boxes at the time.
Mhm.
Um, so, and this is the bundles are perfect for Springs to Life because it's just grass, bushes, firefly bushes, wildflowers, stuff like that,
Mhm.
and they can all go in the bundle. And it's just for saving what a whole like 10 slots there, right?
It's so
Um,
nice, yes.
it's yeah, they're so. I still think they're one of the biggest changes
I
in the
loved it.
game.
And that was a
Yeah,
complete surprise on that live event. They just announced it then out of the blue, didn't
yeah,
it? Didn't they? Because we were all disappointed about the leaks of the Pale Garden, and then but that bundles was a complete surprise.
yeah. I mean, bundles were like in the game, like data packs and stuff like that. They weren't physically. You couldn't, especially on Bedrock,
True,
that you couldn't access them.
true. I
Um,
forget that.
and this has been a thing. This has been a wanted feature for years.
Years.
I think this was like at the time it was like 3 years.
Actually,
Three.
I had it marked down. It was like 4 years and like I don't know, 15 days officially when it finally
Yeah.
came out.
So it was such a big feat. Now, does it address the inventory problem? I'd argue, in a way,
It
yes.
helps.
Yeah.
It's helped
Does it
me a
fix it
lot.
entirely? Yeah. Yeah. You literally ask anyone, they all say that in some fashion, it has helped, and that is the underlying purpose of the bundle. Is it was never meant to be a plaster fix.
Yeah.
It was meant to be like, okay, here's something just to assist the player
Yes.
early game, and even late game. I'm finding myself using it, right? Um, so
That
yeah, I think
that
it was very
th
good for them to add.
they had a tweet that came out not long ago. I don't know if I had it bookmarked here.
Mm.
Where is it? But did you see that? It was maybe I think it was within the last week, I believe, sometime that mode or Minecraft on Twitter posted something of the user interface. It felt to me like an inventory thing. Here it is. What I mean when I say when my pocket's full of paper. What do you think they mean by all that? I thought maybe that was I know there's a lot of speculation of all sorts of things behind that tweet, but do you know what I mean? What I'm talking about? Michael? Hello?
Sorry, I was on mute there for a second. Um, the paper thing, what where they were like, my pockets are full and stuff like that. They were being
Yeah,
quoted.
that tweet
Bro,
with
don't get me
the
started on that. Oh, that
yeah,
was
I'm
so.
sorry.
Oh my God, man, it
What
was
were
so bad.
I don't know what
It,
they're doing lately with these random,
so,
um,
could you
tweets because I
imagine?
saw that, I was like, "Is this gonna be another inventory fix?"
Yeah, could you
That was my
imagine, right?
initial feeling, and then I was like,
Right, like
Okay, there's paper. What are they doing here?"
picture this, right? Spring Drop every week's a teaser for something, right? Every week, right? Granted, they
Every
had the whole
week.
little like Hello Kitty stuff, which was a bit traumatic, and we're still recovering from that to this day.
Yeah.
But now it's just memes. What are we doing? And I don't even know what this is what this is a reference to.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't either.
and you had some people, Smokestack, I'm talking to you by the way, that were like, oh, it's offhand related. Shut up. Okay, I know what you're doing. You're trying to annoy me. Okay, I know what you're doing. Unless there's something that comes next week, which in my eyes, the summer drop is done. Um,
You would think.
yeah.
We're a
So
month
unless
away from the potential drop.
Yeah. So unless there's something magical that they're doing, it's just a meme. And it's like, guys, there's an update releasing in less than a
But
month.
they
What are we
don't
doing?
ever just post memes, do they? Like this one came out May 5th. So wasn't that on a like Tuesday or something? It was
That's
on
the
a
issue.
day. What's
That's the
that?
issue. That the issue is they're doing these little teasers, right? The little like memes on
Hmm.
either the same day of a snapshot, which is now Tuesdays, or the day before, where it's like universally understood that they'll choose something the day before.
Yeah.
Why?
No,
Why?
is it to keep us on our toes?
It's to rage bait us. They're just trolling us, and it's working. I'm being like, I don't know. I crashed out when this happened. I was like, what are we doing? Like, who unironically, it's like, it's mad. Like,
It's
granted,
kind of
you don't have much sort of market of the summer drop already because we kind of already have had the marketing done, right?
yeah.
So there's not really much else. But at the same time, you can still promote it and be like, by the way, guys, in less than a month,
And they could
team,
be
team the gas.
promoting what's coming after. I mean, they were
Yeah,
kind of they did that with the spring drop. They were promoting the happy gas right away, almost.
yeah,
I mean, and some wait, no, it wasn't the happy gas per se. What was it? Was it the locator bar? I think is what
it was located
it,
bar
yeah, the locator
instantly.
bar. Yeah, they started that was way before, or well, a couple weeks, not way before, but in Minecraft world, way before, the spring drop came. So
It's funny you mentioned the located bar because I'm sorry, some people might like it, but who cares? Who
yeah.
actually cares, right? And Mojang, they don't talk about it. Like they don't say anything. Like where's the hype about this? Like
Yeah.
where? Like don't leave it to like the last
Speaking
week, weeks.
and you just mentioned hype, and this is something I kind of wanted to go down this side road here. Um, like a lot of these things that I'm talking because we're doing a review over the past year since you've been on. A lot of
Mm,
these are old news now,
yeah,
but I as a side question, do you notice this in the Minecraft community online as well, like I do, that there's a constant hype or this insatiable need for more features being added by the developers, like just more, more, more. And then when they get it, they forget all about it. It's to me kind of a weird phenomenon that I've never really witnessed before. it's
I think it's I think because Mojang aren't clear on what the drops are. The whole the the whole thing is like what is it? They were like, oh yeah, we're gonna add more features every drop. Okay,
yeah.
do it. Um, but this is just one kind of it's one feature. Now, to me, one massive feature, but to the wider public, not really. You know, it's just one feature. So when people are
Mhm.
asking for more and more and more, and you're like, okay, here's one feature, it's like what? And then you'll be like, well, we did say we're adding more and more and more, and it's every few months. So technically, we've added more this year than last year. It's like, but it's it's one okay two was a location bar, but again, who unironically cares about like
I guess
find me one person.
multiplayers will probably because you and I play, I think, solo most of the time, right?
Yeah,
I know personally for me, I do, unless my brother comes into my world, which he doesn't that often. So usually it's just me, and so locator bar will be completely useless to me. And but I get it with multiplayer. I think it'll be really cool. And now that we have like these happy gas that'll soon be in the world, I think if you want to team up with your buddies and float around, maybe that'll be a good way to locate each other. I don't know, but
it's a good point you bring up there. You say team up. Team up where there's nothing in the sky to fight. There's literally just what,
well,
what,
don't people on multiplayer kind of fight each other and whatnot?
uh, yeah, I guess so. But it's
That's
just
what I always think about. I don't ever get on those servers or anything, so I'm not sure what goes on.
oh the servers. Oh, you mean the ones that are stuck in 1.8 because the combat is terrible for them. Not even going to be able to
Yeah,
play the happy glass stuff because it's oh my god.
yeah, yeah. Which I want to get into the happy gas here in a second. I do. I just wanted to ask you, like, I'm glad to hear that you still enjoy the bundles. I
Yeah,
too.
no, I
I
understand.
love the bundles. I think they did a great job with those. Perhaps maybe they took a little long to get those in
I think it's
because it
fine.
was 4 years, but
I think we can look back on that and be like, it took a while. I think that's fine because the way they turned out, I don't think fingers crossed there's any major issue. There might be some issue, but with the way
Hmm.
I've played around with them, I've not encountered a single problem. Maybe I'm just deluded or just
Hmm.
ignorant. Because I don't use them religiously. Like I don't use them a ton.
Yeah,
But so it's maybe someone that like uses them a lot, maybe they'll know. But to me, there's no real issues, and that's for Bedrock Edition. That's massive that there's no issues with them.
I haven't
But
experienced any, and I play touchscreen where it makes things a little bit more to me a little bit. I think the bundles not as intuitive with a touchscreen as it
mm,
would be on a console, but I have no problems with it really, and I always carry 2 on me, 2 like, always 2 bundles in my
yeah.
on-hand inventory, and they're always nearly completely full because I'm always picking up random stuff. There's so many
So
things, and as
so
you
you,
said sorry, go ahead, Michael.
I was going to ask. So you put I genuinely don't know this. So if you have two bundles, can you put a bundle in a bundle
Yes.
with
Yep.
items?
I think they call them nestling or nestling.
That's kind of insane.
Yeah,
I
you can
genuinely
put
didn't know that.
they're almost like those Russian egg dolls. You can do a bundle and a
Oh,
bundle and a bundle and a bundle and a bundle. In fact, you
okay.
can even have a bundle partially full and put that inside of an empty bundle as long as it but it always it can't go past 64 items, if that makes sense.
No, yeah,
That is the max unless, obviously, it depends on what the item is because if it's, on how they're stacked, like, how eggs can only go up to 16, so they play
yeah,
by those mathematics, you can only fill a bundle up with 16 eggs, that's a full bundle. So that will throw off the mathematics because 'cause I've noticed that in my bundles, like, I'll have, let's say, it's like I have 20 pieces of coal in here. I should be able to add like another 44 and it'll be maxed out. But if I add in like 4 eggs, oh, it's maxed out. You know what I mean? Because it's
yeah.
factoring in those ratios or how it's done. But to me, the bundle and the nestling or the nesting, um, I just love it, and I think it was very well made, and I wanted to ask you, kinda jumping back and forth here, but back to the pill garden. I know that you weren't impressed, it doesn't sound like, with this drop, but when we were talking last, and I think you agreed with this, but to me, I felt like this was one of the more fleshed out biomes that they added, meaning it was all tied together to me beautifully, like how everything's an ecosystem, the eye blossoms, the creaking being in relation or the creaking heart being in relation with the creaking and the pale
Mm.
oak. I thought it was all just well designed to me. I didn't know what your like as individual items and whatnot. What were your thoughts on the designs?
It was a good design concept. Yeah, it was great until the very next update they allowed wooden mansions to spawn in it.
And that's what ruined it for you.
Pretty much, yeah. I
And I
mean,
didn't realize that, Michael.
there's a whole aspect of like fog and stuff like that as well, which is like it's so crazy to me that they're adding fog in Java Edition now to like like rain and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
And
heard about that.
and now it's like it's a bit of a kick in the face to be like, yeah, there's a biome that's based around fog and it's not got fog, but here's fog water because
When it
I mean,
rains.
it's just I don't get it. I don't get it, and it's just I don't understand. I really
Yeah,
don't
I'm not quite sure
understand.
why they didn't implement fog into the pill garden either at the time because I know many people were
And
that
like,
was a huge thing. People wanted
uh,
that to be added to it.
yeah,
But
a
people were
big.
saying, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say a big part of why I think the Pale Garden sucked was the panorama.
Okay.
I
The
think,
what was
right?
around it or
No,
the
okay, so the
interior?
panorama. If you don't know what the panorama is, it's when you load up into the game and you've got like a loading screen, not a loading screen,
Uh-huh.
but like it like 360 view of the world, and it usually shows you the update, right? So
Mhm.
which brings to life, you've got like the desert biome, you've got like the new mob variants, like the new pig and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
the new like cactus flowers. Pale
Yeah.
Garden, you had it during the day, and it was just miserable. It's a grey, dead biome. So you imagine for a second, you've not loaded Minecraft up in years, right?
Hmm.
For some reason, this Pale Garden is the best thing since sliced bread. And you're like, I'm going to try this out. You load
Yeah.
up Minecraft and it's just dead. It's just dead. On
Hmm.
Bedrock, you can't change the panorama. I think on Java you can. I'm not too sure though. So you're stuck with a 360 view of a dead biome. And it's like, well, what else could they have done,
Interesting.
Michael? Like, what else could they have done? I don't know. Make the biome at night, use eye blossom as the light source, have
Yeah.
creakings, like still images of creakings, but still creakings like turning around corners and stuff like that.
Hmm.
The eye blossoms are activated, there's resin everywhere. But no,
So
dead during the
poor
day. Fine.
marketing, huh?
I think yeah, it was so bad to look at. Like it was just I don't know. I was so happy to see it go when Springs to Life was given a
Yeah.
panorama.
I before we move on to Spring to Life, because I want to move on to that, I do want to ask you this last question about the Pill Garden. Do you use any of its resources today? The pill oak wood
Uh,
or resin or anything?
only the wood,
Gotcha.
only the
And
wood.
I kind of had a feeling that was going to be your answer. I
Yeah.
actually don't use any of it, to tell you the truth, and I haven't been back to a pill garden in uh probably since December of last year.
Uh, when
So
if, Whenever the Pale Garden update dropped was the last time I visited one.
okay, so that was December 3rd.
Actually, that's a lie. That's a lie. Actually, I've been okay. I have that. Okay, no, never mind. It's a lie. Because I have been. I've seen them, but I've not really interacted with them. If that makes sense. So, okay, yeah,
Gotcha.
I've seen them, but I've not been like, oh, this is cool. Other than the one where I saw a was a mansion in, I've been like, oh, cool, dead biome. Anyways, you
That's
know,
interesting. Well, that's sad. That's sad in a way
it
that's
is.
just forgotten.
Because I remember like talking about it on here, and I was like, oh, it's really cool.
Yeah,
I was
we were
flying around
hyped
with that.
up.
Yeah, as we were talking about it, I was flying around and playing like in the Pale Garden. I was like, it looks really cool. Looks really immersive. The fallen leaves look really nice. I wonder if they'll add more to the
The
game.
ambient sounds was
Yeah,
revolutionary.
yeah.
And that was
Now it's
another
just
thing that they teased before it actually came out.
yeah, because it was like I believe it was is ambient sounds that were applied to the blocks, not the
Mhm.
actual biome itself. So you could pick up the block. I think it's to do with like the vines, I think,
Yeah,
and
it
like the
was the
moss.
vines and the wood, uh,
Yeah,
and the creaking makes the creaking effect sounds.
yeah. So and they translated that now into the Spring to Life drop when they added uh what is it? It's like the dead bush, the sand, red
Mhm.
sand,
The
terracotta. I
crickets,
don't yeah,
the wind, the dust, or the sand, yeah, like you said, blowing,
yeah,
rustling. It's I like it. It's so subtle, but it adds an extra layer of immersion, which
yeah.
I really enjoy. But I also had I remember when I reported on that in a Realm News Flash, and I think I talked about with King Next when he was on the show. We were discussing that I think that might be annoying to some players because since it is those ambient, sorry, can't say that word. Ambient sounds are tied to the block or the item or whatever. You can't really turn that off unless you turn it off all of it in settings, I believe. So if you are constructing a house and you want to use, let's say, the red sand or terracotta blocks, then you're kind of forced to hear those ambient sounds that you may not want. You know what I mean?
That's not entirely true. The way the sounds work is they have to have more than one block
Yeah, they have
above
to be
them
kind of
to
grouped
work.
together, right?
Yeah. So unless you're doing that, um, if King Nex is making a red sand house, I want to ask him a very serious, I want him
But
to
we
have
were just
like
using that
mental.
as an example because
No, I know.
people build all sorts of things out of
Yeah.
everything.
Um, yeah.
Or even if you had a red sand floor, if you had like I can't remember how many have to be around each other, but it wasn't that many, and then you have those sounds. And I was like, well,
Yeah. I think it's like
if you brought like that to like a a cold weather biome, that might sound a little odd having desert sounds in your in your in a blizzard.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah.
But I don't think that's a big deal. I was just nitpicking like little things when we were
No, I know.
talking in that.
Yeah.
Um, but I do want to now. I thought that was good to hear that that you still use the pelt oak wood. You're doing better than what I am. I always feel bad once we receive something new and I don't use it often. I kind of feel bad. I don't know
Yeah.
why. But that kind of wraps up their 2024 because Pell Garden was the last thing we received for that year. And then we entered a new year 5 months ago, which blows my mind. I can't believe we're halfway through the year almost. But at the beginning of this year in January, we received some cool new snapshots that all amounted to the Spring to Life drop that released on March 25th this year. I'd like to go through this list. I just want to read, or actually, yeah, just go through this list of things that we received in this Spring to Life drop before we move on to other topics. Um, and I want to get your opinion on these. I just want to see what if you like them, which one was your favorite. I'm going to start with the variants that we got here, Michael, and
Mm.
specifically with the hot and cold cows. So, what do you think overall about the variants?
I think all of them are good. I think
I do too.
I think it was a very risky for Mojang to do because with the wolves, it was. I think either way, people did the likes of them, but the farm animals are so iconic. So are the wolves, but I mean, the pig, the cow, and chickens. I almost said the other forgotten farm animal there.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
they it was very risky for them to do, and the marketing they did when it added the enhanced bush as well, firefly
Oh
bush.
yeah.
Um, it was very smart, in my opinion. I think they done. I think the chickens probably are the best. They're not my favorites, but they are the best ones, in my
I
opinion.
agree with you. They look really neat. I think the cold chicken. Well, I don't know. Both of them look pretty cool.
Yeah,
And the cows are pretty neat too. I don't know. It's just it. It's nice to see that variety. It just
yeah,
is. And moving on here, what about the vegetation? We received a firefly bush, wildflowers, pink cactus flower, dry grass, and leaf litter. Which right off the bat, I don't know. That's tough. I love all these features. Which one's
yeah.
your? Do you
So
have a favorite, or do you like them all, or what?
the firefly bush, the enhanced bush,
It's
as we
beautiful.
as we know it, is amazing. The way they implemented firefly.
Enhanced.
Yes, it is the enhanced bush. That's why I've named it.
It is the enhanced
Um,
bush. You are known for you went viral for that one.
yeah, there's
How many
a
views did
history
you
there.
get on that?
Way too many, way too
That was
many.
over 1 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot.
That was
Um,
impressive.
yeah, but no, the firefly bush is probably the my favorite and has been since the get-go. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, give me this now. Um, the weakest, I'd say, is probably the leaf litter with how much it
Really?
spawned. Yeah, it
I
spawns a
love it.
lot. If it not, don't get me wrong, I think they're all really good, but I think the leaf litter can be a bit overbearing in some of the biomes.
Okay.
And in some of them as well, they're not like the Pale Garden. If you put leaf litter in the Pale Garden, they're great.
Oh,
Um,
are they?
yeah,
Oh,
but
cool.
there's no leaf litter in the Pale Garden for some reason, right?
Hmm.
And spruce trees have, oh, no, have fallen leaves. I'm stupid, but like, um, yeah, I like leaf litter. The leaf litter is good. The way you can get them as well, even by like cooking the leaf block, gives you leaf litter. Um, So yeah, I think they like all of them are good for sure. The cactus flower is the most annoying plant to farm ever, but um,
I do like how it looks, though.
oh no, yeah, it's good. It's good. Like when you envision cacti, it's really like a staple to think, yeah, a little flower on top.
Yeah, and it really pops out in that desert and all that beige.
Yeah.
I uh I am a fan of the firefly bush as well. I have quite a few now, and I've been importing them to my cities across my realm. But I also thought, hey, isn't that great? No frogs will die from ingesting these little particles because they can't. And I think that was
Isn't
a discussion we had last year when you first came on the show because
yeah.
that was your argument. That's what you were saying. Mojang went add fireflies because the frogs will eat them and die.
Isn't it crazy? All you had to do, Mojang, was make them particles. That's all
That's
you had
it.
to do. No
Make it so they
drama.
don't interact.
Yeah, that's all you had to do. You didn't have to make a YouTube video saying, no, they're poisonous to frogs, even though they now eat literal cubes of magma.
That's so dumb. Yeah, I don't get the reasoning on some things.
Yeah.
That
Um,
was so easy for him to avoid that.
yeah, so like when I saw fireflies being added, I was like, oh my God, because a part of me was thinking they're never going to add them. Just to bear in mind as well, this was like this was like, I think midway through the spring drop. So we were like, they're never going to add them. They're
Yeah.
dead. And then there's this one bush that they're like, hi. Well, I saw them before anyone else did. Just want to point that out. But no, like I I don't know. Like when we first saw them, I think it was in the counties, wasn't it? They were like
Mhm.
there's the counties of them showing the variants, but in the background there was
Yeah.
this new weird plant. And at first we were like, I don't know what this is. And then they were like, yeah, fireflies. But oh, never mind.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
yeah, that I thought I was pleasantly surprised because after you told me that their reasoning after you came onto the show, that's just what I thought too from there on out. I was like,
Mm.
I never expected fireflies. And when they were teasing us with like, what was it? I think they gave us one like cube of color and people were freaking out going, I thought it was for a bee. I thought it was going to be a bee update or
It was
something related to that.
it was like it was that or it was there's like a bush I believe in dungeons that's like a swiftness bush
Oh
that you run into
yeah.
there and it gives you like speed for like a few seconds. And I was like,
Yeah.
that sounds ridiculous. Mojang, please. Please don't tease me. Please. Please don't. Um and thankfully they didn't because some of the ideas from dungeons are good. Some of them are questionable in my opinion. But like
Yeah.
and it's obvious now looking back. Obviously, that was those were fireflies, right? But looking back, we were like, "What on earth is this?" Like we had no idea.
No, we
Um,
didn't.
and yeah, I think they're my favorite thing about the entire update. To be honest,
Yeah, I love the firefly bush. Actually, that is probably my favorite out of the vegetation that they added. Besides that, I am a huge fan of the leaf litter. I have to travel quite a ways to go find it because I've explored a lot of my world, but I have
if you
gathered quite a sorry.
if you, I was going to say, if you cook leaf blocks, they'll give you leaf litter.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that. I'm going to
Yeah,
do that.
they're
So,
not
because I've been
biomedical,
have
but
I'm gonna
you
have to do
can
that, Michael.
find them. Yeah,
Because I've been having fun with the leaf litter. I like to place it around or under trees in my cities to make it look like it's been weathered, I guess, or you know
yeah,
what I mean? Times past, and it gives a little bit ambiance to it. I think it's gonna be great around fall and Halloween, with people getting
yeah.
creative. I think that'll be fun to see what people do. Um, and we received as well. I think there's some more things I forgot to list here, but these are big ones. The ambient sounds, new spawn eggs, and then we got a new lodestone recipe, which made it more economical. You have anything you would like to say about those? Me personally, I love the ambient sounds.
Yeah, they're all those three of them are all really good uh additions to the game. It's some of those things where it's like you look this is a lot. This is to do with a lot of the features in Minecraft that they had. You don't really
Yeah.
think of it like when you're asked what do you want in the game, you'll say the standalone like the big things like end update or stuff like this, I'll say combat update. But
Hmm.
you never really like ambient stuff. but that doesn't mean you don't want it.
Yeah.
So when you see it in the game, it's like, oh my God, yes, we didn't ask for this, but my God, we needed, like, for example, a new Lotus recipe because it was such a pain to make. Um,
Yes.
and like these spawn eggs as well. I'm sorry, there should be no one that's upset with this change to spawn eggs. No one. It
I
is
don't use
literally
them,
good for everyone.
but they
I
look
don't use them
great.
either, but like they're literally. There's, I'm sorry, the whole nostalgia baiting, like the old ones were better. It doesn't work with this one. It doesn't work. Maybe it works with like when they changed the ore textures in
Hmm.
1.17, but not with the spawn eggs. You can't. I'm sorry. There's literally no. It's all
Yeah.
around a good change.
I, I agree with you. So we kind of went over all that they gave us so far this year in the Minecraft Live event, which I want to ask you, what did you think of the Minecraft Live event? So the first one this year. What was your opinion on
Going into it, I was like not really anticipating much.
it? Hmm.
I was like, it's going to be focused on the Minecraft movie. Of course it is.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't really care that much. I was more inclined to be like, what's the next drop? It has to be combat, right? Surely it's combat. No, 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 not this
Oh,
time.
sorry.
Um, no, when I first saw the Happy Glass, I was like, what is this? Genuinely, I was like, oh my God, what are we
Yeah, no
doing?
leaks on
What?
that.
No, no, surprisingly not. Well, there was this, it wasn't a leak on the Happy Glass itself, but it was a thing of a rideable mob in the sky.
That's true. I forgot.
Um, um,
Wasn't it like something on a clock tower or something like Great Ben over in your country? Like how
oh
to
yeah,
get up there?
most would post to users like, how did they get up there? And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
there's there or something. And then there were like snowballs, and then there was like other things as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
Um,
that threw me totally off the snowball.
yeah, I like there was like three images they had with that, and I could imagine what the other three were, but I had no idea what the snowballs were for until they were like,
Hmm.
yeah, happy ghast or ghastling is what they're called. Eats them. I was like, okay, sure, I guess,
Yeah, which
whatever.
is interesting to me that they're eating
Yeah,
snow. That was an interesting
yeah,
choice. I wonder why.
yeah. I think the happy ghast though is like my opinion changed very quickly, like literally almost instantly. From like it's so over to we're so back. Like this is a really good feature. Um,
You
I'm
like
glad it
it?
hasn't gone through. Yeah, I do. I genuinely really do.
I do too.
Um, I'm glad they didn't like change it drastically in the snapshots. Like I'm glad it's relatively stayed the same.
Hmm.
'Cause I liked how it originally looked, which is very rare for
Oh,
me to
you
be
like
like,
its design?
yeah, I do. I know people are like, but the goggles like goofy and the harness is too weird. And it's like, bro, do you not know what Minecraft aesthetic is? It's supposed to be.
Goofy.
I'm serious. But
True. And do you think we're going to be receiving this in June, like people are speculating? I do.
100%, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah. I think that's just a no-brainer. We're definitely going to get this soon. Coming
yeah.
soon. And
Like
so
I think it's done. The summer drop is done. They're just going to be refining it. And we'll know the name of the summer drop in like two
which
weeks.
I am going to release this our recording today is not going to be a month old when it releases. I'm going to put this out this Thursday. So it's relatively fresh. So yeah, I've heard people speculate that we may begin this summer drop even sooner than expected. So what do you think we'll get it before June? I don't think so.
No, no, there's no, no, no.
But I don't think we're going to get
Um,
anything else added to it like some other
no,
people
that's
are
true.
hoping.
Yeah. No, the drop's done. There's nothing else
Do
to
you
add.
think they're going to start announcing fall drops?
Mm,
Like,
announcing,
or I mean,
no,
like showing
but
us, like, you know what they did with the locator bar? Um,
yes, I think indirectly we've seen it with some combat stuff. So guys, I'm just saying, maybe, maybe this is the one. I know we've said it for like the past four drops now, but surely, right?
What was
Um,
up with the sheep being sheared? That pink sheep
I
that they
bro,
did that throw you off as well?
I looked at it and I was like, what the guys think?
No, it
Like,
says, yeah, I don't get it, man. It says too
I don't,
far
I don't.
as their text with a crying smile face, and then sheep says, quote, just a little off the top, and zombie horde says, say less fan. I don't get it. I feel like it's not directed towards me as the audience. I don't get what the text is. Like, what's the zombie horde have
It's
to
just
do
like
with it?
it's just to be quirky. It's like, look, guys, we know the memes, and this is like a meme from like 2017. Like,
Okay.
bro,
Okay.
like just a little bit off the top, fam. Lol, XD. It's like,
So I'm
guys,
guessing this is just a random thing.
yeah, it's a random thing. I mean, like tomorrow they'll post like a troll face with like a picture of a horse and be like, lol, get trolled, XD, and people will be like, oh my god, guys, horse update. But no,
Yeah.
the horse leaks were all fake, right? Can we please that leaker? Can we please stop believing him, please? Like it's
Yeah.
like this is
No,
the
I
same guy
agree.
that said we'd get cheese. Okay, stop. Let's just stop.
Well, Michael, something I wanted to get into. I wanted to speak more about the gas and everything. We've got about 15 minutes left of the show because I think
Mm,
I can only record for 2 hours on this platform. But and we're
yeah.
about to hit the 2 hour mark. I wanted to ask you before I get into talking about your personal Minecraft, what's going on in your life with Minecraft. I wanted to ask you about the vibrant visuals, and because I'm super excited about this, and I think you've played this in experimental mode, right?
Yeah.
Do you? What's your opinion on the vibrant visuals?
I think it's releasing too early.
Really?
Yeah.
Like,
I
can you
think
elaborate on that a little bit?
I think the general consensus is that it's releasing in the summer drop.
Yeah,
And
that's what they said.
what about Java?
And sorry.
What about Java? No, Java hasn't seen it once. There's not been
Uh,
one iteration of
really?
Hypervision once. You know, they haven't been able to test it. So what do we have? We have another
Int-
Abundance of Bravery situation where half the update Java won't care about because it doesn't even apply to them. These Abundance of Bravery, they've had hardcore, sure. Bundles were kind of in the game, but they weren't actually. With this, they can't even interact with half the update, right?
I,
Whereas Bedrock gets to play with it, and it's like I don't understand
I didn't
why. Like,
realize that. So
no, yeah,
Java has been left in the dark on the vibrant visuals, and it it doesn't look like they're going to receive it.
they are, but when we have no idea. And the thing is, like,
Hmm.
people are like, well, Java already has shaders. True, right? It's true, but these are supposed to be like VV is supposed to be the definitive way to see the game, right?
Yeah,
They're gonna
exactly.
they're gonna make it so that's the actual way the game looks in the future. So
Dang.
why is Java not? Why do they not have a say at all? Like you're alienating a huge chunk of the player base
Yeah,
for
a
months because
dedicated
they're
one
not going to see it
too.
for months. Yeah, and we know how vocal Java players get when they don't get what they want. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they
Um,
get quite upset.
yeah. So it's like the drop is gonna well drop, and half the updates not going to be available. Like,
That's so. So,
but
are they wanting this vibrant visuals or VV, as you've been saying, for short, to come out with the happy gas and everything
it
at the
looks
same
like it
time?
is. It looks like
Okay,
it is
that's what I
because
thought, but
yeah, first of all they said it was coming out in the summer. And we
mhm,
were like, sure. I mean, okay, we'll believe it when we see it. Now it's
yeah,
already like experimental and stuff like that. And it's like,
yeah.
oh, it really is coming out this summer.
But
You
Java
know,
hasn't received anything on it.
not once.
That is unusual, and that I don't see why Mojang would do that because they've already done this before with bundles, as you said.
Yeah,
Vice the other
it's
way around, though. They like
It's really really
so
silly.
they you would have thought they would have learned from their mistakes in the past.
Yeah,
We'll see, I
no,
guess. Maybe it won't
we'll
maybe
see.
it won't
Yeah,
turn out that way.
yeah, maybe it won't be a big thing, but I'm worried that it will impact the way we look at the summer drop, even despite the Happy Caster being a really good feature.
It's a cool feature. I am excited for that. I'm excited for all these announcements that they've made. Do you
Mm.
think that's a big enough of a drop?
Mm, it
Is
depends
it?
on what the next update is.
Yeah, I think the next update will probably be in September, don't you think? Or
September, October.
October?
Yeah.
I
If
mean,
the if the if the full and that sounds weird to say, right? But if this next drop or update is as the same size of this, the drops have failed. The drops have
you
failed.
think they're failing then if they continue this way?
Yep, 100%.
Failing as
100%.
in
The
in
content
how?
isn't big enough. The content that we're seeing isn't big enough to move the game forward or change the game
Just not
dramatically.
it's just not satisfying enough for the
No,
community, the Minecraft
no,
community, you're saying? You think?
no, yeah. And the whole, oh, we'll get bigger drops and stuff like that. Where? Points for one,
Well, I guess they
you
could
know.
argue that the Pale Garden was kind of the first one of this new system, right?
You had Bats and Pots, you had Armored Cores, you had the Pale Garden, Garden
Yeah.
Awakens. You had Spring to Life. Spring to Life is the closest I think we've gotten to like big. I mean, I think the Happy Cast as well. I don't know. It's really difficult to pinpoint where I believe
Yeah.
the Happy Cast fits in terms of big or small drop. It really. I need to play it. Like, need to have it in the game first, and then go into side. Um, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we'll leave it there on you don't know. And
Yes,
I want to now, since we're coming to the last 10 minutes, focus on you. I saw that you are now a Twitch affiliate, which I
I
want to
am.
say congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome,
you.
man.
Yeah,
I don't know
I'm
what that
excited.
takes or what that entails, but I wanted to ask you, how's that going?
Yeah, it's going good. I've kind of like taken a step back from streaming for the past few days. I'll get
Hmm.
back into it like soon. Um, but yeah, it opens up a whole other kind of like space where you can talk to people about the game. They can see your world and interact, like, like give feedback on it in live time. Because I post about my world a lot on Twitter, but it's
Yeah.
not instant feedback, right?
Hmm.
Whereas if this is like instant, oh, like, oh, this looks good, or if I'm asking like, how can I do this? How do I approach this? I can get feedback and be like, oh, you can, do this, go about it this way and stuff like that. So no, yeah, it's really good. Yeah,
No, it sounds like you're having a lot of fun doing that. Uh, Is
yeah.
it, is it, do you have a pretty big following there?
Um, no, it's quite a small like group of people, which I think is fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Closer engagement.
yeah, exactly. These things don't happen overnight, but I'm happy with what I got with what I've got, and that's the main thing.
Hmm.
When you have like a stream or a YouTube channel or a podcast, you're happy with what you got. Um,
Exactly.
so yeah,
What are your future goals with being a Twitch affiliate? I imagine you would like to see it grow, right? But
yeah,
are you just trying to just engage with, be on Twitch as often as you can? Is that the thing? Or do you have a schedule for your stream? Or how do you go about that?
I don't really have a schedule. I mean, the days where there's like a massive preview or a massive snapshot, I'll stream on that day, simply
Oh,
just to
cool.
talk about it. But then again, then I'll just stream on random days when, it's necessary, or when I want to, really. Um, but, but yeah, I just kind of want to continue it. There's not really any goal in mind, really. I just want to see where it goes, if it goes anywhere. Um, but
No,
yeah,
I think it's cool because when you first came onto the show last year, you were saying that you used to be huge into streaming. So I think that's neat that you got back into it in the course of this year.
yeah, no, yeah, yeah, definitely.
That's really neat. And are you enjoying your world? I know last time that you were on, you had already faced the loss of your old world, and you had already been a few weeks into the world you're in now and had
Yeah,
built quite a bit. How's that all going?
it's uh, it's going pretty well. It's like 10 times better than my previous one, which is what I
Awesome.
try to do.
Good. I'm
Um,
glad to hear that, man, because that's just absolutely devastating to lose a world. I can I can only imagine.
it was at the time, but I think now I'm over it completely. I don't really care that much. There's only
Good.
like the one aspect of it that I'm kind of devastated about, but it's like, what can you do? Um, but
And
I just got to be more attentive to Minecraft and not mess up my worlds, really.
well, actually, since that happened and you were on the show talking about, they've done some changes to back up your world. Like they've made it
Yeah,
better. And
yeah. No, they
so
have.
maybe they were listening to us, Michael. Maybe your
Maybe.
catastrophe like opened their eyes.
Yeah, I hope so. No, they have made changes, and I'm glad they have. It's definitely more, I guess, easier to not mess up your world.
It is. You're not just
Um,
going to hit delete and it just automatically deletes it without another prompt.
yeah, and the
Because I
delete
backed
world option is like
because I
red.
just backed
It's like,
mine up.
do not do this. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I do as
I
well.
do you back yours up quite often?
Every time I play, I make two
Oh, do
backups.
you?
Yeah, every time I play,
Nice. Nice. Michael, where can we find you so people can? I know that I just said that you're on Twitch, you're on
I am.
Twitter, you're on Blue Sky, you're on Discord. Um, is there anywhere else?
No, you'll mostly find me on Twitter, sometimes on Skies That Are Blue. I can't. It's funny because if you say Blue Sky on Twitter, bad things happen to you. But I can say Blue Sky here. So yes, I'm on Blue Sky. Um, Obviously Twitch as well. Yeah. Um, the Discord stuff is also like you'll find it on my Twitter. I'll talk about it often on there. Um, but yeah, everywhere there is, you can probably find me on there, lurking, asking for my left hand. I don't have it right now.
I'm going to leave those links of your streaming link, which is Twitch, right?
Yeah,
And I'm going to leave Twitter, and they can find your Discord through Twitter. That'll all be in the show description. So all you listeners out there can find Micheal, follow Micheal, and support his content that he creates because it's really awesome. Go check him out. I urge you guys to. Yeah, you won't be let down. He's been playing this game for a long time and has some amazing builds and does some really cool stuff. I've seen it through the course of this year. And Micheal, I just want to say, man, it's been a pleasure. I'm so happy to get you back on, and especially for the 1 year mark. What this is day 364 since you came on the very first time to Realm News. And I thought that was just awesome when I did the math of that last night. And I was like, well, I guess I didn't compensate for the leap year, but
yeah.
1 year.
That's crazy.
No, just I've been really fortunate to get you on the show, and my audience loves listening to you, and it's just been a pleasure. I look forward to hearing how your future plans go with your world and how your Twitch and streaming progresses, man. I really look
Thank you.
forward to that. And
Thank you.
that's all I have today. And I look forward to having you back on the show again, Micheal. I'll see you next
Yes.
time.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
Take
Thanks for
care.
having me. You too.
Hey, Realm News fans, it's your host, the Dark Lord. The one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I am here to tell you that your support means everything. Spread the word by telling friends, liking, and commenting on Spotify, Good Pods, or wherever you find Realm News. Find me on X, Blue Sky, Reddit, or via email at bio.link/realm news. For more content, join my Patreon at the Copper, Diamond, and VIP tiers for early episodes, bonus content, and newsletters. Find out more at bio.link/realm news. No pressure, though. Just keep listening, liking, and sharing. That's more than enough. Happy crafting, and see you at the next Realm News.